Have you ever felt like certain struggles in life, be it heartbreak, betrayal, or constant misfortunes, seem to follow you wherever you go? It might feel like some invisible force or a person from your past is here to make you suffer. In Buddhist philosophy, this concept is often referred to as karmic enemies. These are unresolved conflicts or debts from past actions, sometimes from previous lifetimes, returning to impact us in the present. But what if I told you that, according to the Buddha, your greatest enemy isn't someone outside of you? The root of your suffering might actually be much closer than you think. Buddhism teaches that karmic enemies are not only external figures or circumstances, but also internal forces. While it's true that unresolved karma can create difficult relationships or situations, the Buddha revealed a profound truth. Your greatest enemy lies within yourself. This enemy is not a person. It is the trio of destructive forces that Buddhism calls the three poisons: greed, hatred, and ignorance. The Buddha once said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." Resentment doesn't hurt the other person. It only deepens our own suffering. By understanding this, we can begin to break free from cycles of hatred and pain. In this video, we'll explore the Buddhist perspective on karmic enemies and resentment. We'll dive into why the Buddha emphasized inner transformation as the key to peace and learn practical steps to let go of anger and resentment. Together, let's uncover how you can break free from the grip of karmic enemies and achieve true inner harmony. One of the most fascinating teachings in Buddhism is that our karmic enemies are not always external people or forces. Sometimes, they can manifest as aspects of ourselves that we reject or struggle to accept. For example, many people, especially women, might feel that their greatest enemy is their own appearance. A perceived lack of beauty or self-esteem can become a source of deep suffering. Buddhism teaches that this inner conflict often stems from our negative emotions. The Buddha explained that feelings like anger, jealousy, and hatred can create a karmic debt within us that shapes our external reality. Even if someone wears the finest clothes, uses expensive perfumes, or applies makeup, the inner turmoil caused by anger and envy can overshadow their efforts. As the Buddha said, anger, like a flame, consumes all it touches. If you don't let go of anger, your appearance will reflect it, no matter how much you try to hide it. This is because our state of mind affects not only how others perceive us, but also how we see ourselves. The discourse on differentiated karma explains this further. Those who are quick to anger, prone to jealousy, and often consumed by negative emotions create karmic conditions that lead to unattractive appearances in future lives. This means that physical imperfections or dissatisfaction with one's body may have roots in a history of unresolved anger and resentment. Understanding this, the Buddha encouraged us to view beauty not as something external, but as a reflection of our inner peace. When we release anger, practice compassion, and embrace humility, a natural glow arises, not from cosmetics, but from the light of a calm and loving heart. This inner transformation allows us to overcome the so-called karmic enemy of self-rejection and move closer to true self-acceptance. Another karmic enemy, as described in Buddhist teachings, is the inability to rest peacefully. Even if you lie on a luxurious bed, covered with fine silk and soft cushions, sleep may still elude you. You toss and turn, your mind racing with worries and anxieties, asking yourself, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I sleep?" Some resort to sleeping pills or sedatives, but overuse of these can lead to other health issues, like memory loss. In Buddhism, this lack of peaceful rest is also considered a karmic enemy, stemming from unresolved anger and inner turmoil. The scriptures teach, when the mind is dominated by anger, restlessness arises. Anger in the heart becomes the enemy that burns from within, disrupting sleep and peace of mind. In other words, sleeplessness often has its roots in unresolved emotions like anger and resentment. There's a story about a time when the Buddha was staying near the Agalava shrine, close to Rajagaha, during the harsh winter season. The trees were barren, and the air was bitterly cold. One early morning, a young man came to visit the Buddha and asked, "Blessed One, did you sleep well last night?" The Buddha replied, "Yes, I slept very well." Puzzled, the young man asked, "But how could you sleep well in such freezing weather, with only a simple mat of grass to lie on and thin robes to cover yourself?" The Buddha then asked him a question. Imagine a wealthy householder with a grand home, soft bedding, and all the comforts money can buy. Do you think he sleeps peacefully? The young man replied, "Yes, he would." The Buddha continued, "What if, while sleeping, a strong desire or anger arose within him? Would he still sleep peacefully?" The young man answered, "No, Blessed One. If his mind is consumed by desire or anger, he would not sleep well. The Buddha explained, a person whose mind is filled with greed, anger, or ignorance cannot rest peacefully. It is not the comfort of the bed or the wealth of one's surroundings that brings restful sleep, but the absence of the three poisons: desire, hatred, and delusion. I slept well because my mind is free from these poisons, and I rest in the bliss of nirvana. This profound teaching reveals that true rest does not come from external luxuries, but from inner peace. A mind unburdened by anger, jealousy, or delusion will always find rest, no matter the physical conditions. When we let go of the three poisons, we free ourselves from the karmic enemy of sleeplessness and experience deep tranquility. Continuing, what does Buddhism teach about karmic enemies and resentment? Another karmic enemy, as described in Buddhist teachings, is the inability to rest peacefully. Even if you lie on a luxurious bed, covered with fine silk and soft cushions, sleep may still elude you. You toss and turn, your mind racing with worries and anxieties, asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I sleep? Some resort to sleeping pills or sedatives, but overuse of these can lead to other health issues, like memory loss. In Buddhism, this lack of peaceful rest is also considered a karmic enemy, stemming from unresolved anger and inner turmoil. The scriptures teach, when the mind is dominated by anger, restlessness arises. Anger in the heart becomes the enemy that burns from within, disrupting sleep and peace of mind. In other words, sleeplessness often has its roots in unresolved emotions like anger and resentment. There's a story about a time when the Buddha was staying near the Agalava shrine, close to Rajagaha, during the harsh winter season. The trees were barren, and the air was bitterly cold. One early morning, a young man came to visit the Buddha and asked, "Blessed One, did you sleep well last night?" The Buddha replied, "Yes, I slept very well." Puzzled, the young man asked, "But how could you sleep well in such freezing weather, with only a simple mat of grass to lie on and thin robes to cover yourself?" The Buddha then asked him a question. Imagine a wealthy householder with a grand home, soft bedding, and all the comforts money can buy. Do you think he sleeps peacefully? The young man replied, "Yes, he would." The Buddha continued, "What if, while sleeping, a strong desire or anger arose within him? Would he still sleep peacefully?" The young man answered, "No, Blessed One. If his mind is consumed by desire or anger, he would not sleep well." The Buddha explained, a person whose mind is filled with greed, anger, or ignorance cannot rest peacefully. It is not the comfort of the bed or the wealth of one's surroundings that brings restful sleep, but the absence of the three poisons: desire, hatred, and delusion. I slept well because my mind is free from these poisons, and I rest in the bliss of nirvana. This profound teaching reveals that true rest does not come from external luxuries, but from inner peace. A mind unburdened by anger, jealousy, or delusion will always find rest, no matter the physical conditions. When we let go of the three poisons, we free ourselves from the karmic enemy of sleeplessness and experience deep tranquility. In the next part of this video, we'll explore practical ways to let go of anger and cultivate inner peace so that we too can rest peacefully and live with a calm heart. Another karmic enemy, as described in Buddhist teachings, is the tendency to lose friendships due to anger. In Western philosophy, there is a saying, "A life without friends is like living without sunlight." Friends bring warmth and joy, and having someone to share life's ups and downs makes life richer and less lonely. Without friends, life can feel empty and isolating. However, as the Buddha taught, a person consumed by anger and dominated by resentment will inevitably push people away. The scriptures explain, if a person is controlled by anger and their mind cannot let go of it, even close friends will find ways to avoid them. This is the fourth karmic enemy. Anger destroys relationships and turns friends into strangers, or worse, into adversaries. When anger arises, it often manifests in harsh words or hurtful actions. These moments, driven by fleeting emotions, can create deep wounds in relationships. Close friends may begin to avoid someone who constantly displays anger or resentment, fearing conflict or negativity. Over time, this behavior isolates the person, leaving them without the companionship they once valued. Buddhism reminds us that friendships are among life's greatest treasures. They are built on trust, kindness, and mutual understanding. Yet, when anger takes hold, it can unravel even the strongest bonds. Words spoken in anger are hard to take back, and actions driven by resentment often leave lasting scars. The Buddha taught that to nurture friendships, we must first nurture our own minds. By letting go of anger and cultivating patience and compassion, we create an environment where relationships can thrive. True friends are drawn to those who radiate warmth and understanding, not to those consumed by negativity. The fifth karmic enemy, as taught in Buddhism, is the inability to receive praise or earn respect due to anger. In life, people admire and praise those who are calm, kind, and humble. Rarely does anyone commend someone who is quick to anger or dominated by resentment. Even great figures known for their achievements can be criticized if their anger overshadows their virtues. For example, historical and cultural stories often depict fiery temperaments as a double-edged sword. While strength and courage may be admired, uncontrolled anger often leads to mistakes and loss. The scriptures explain, a person consumed by anger and unable to let it go will be known for their faults rather than their virtues. Their reputation will suffer and dishonor will follow them. This karmic enemy prevents us from gaining the respect and admiration of others. When anger dominates our thoughts, it colors our actions and words, leaving a negative impression on those around us. A single moment of unchecked rage can overshadow years of good deeds, making it difficult to rebuild trust or earn praise. Buddhism emphasizes that true respect is earned through self-discipline, humility, and understanding. When we let go of anger, our words and actions naturally reflect kindness and wisdom, qualities that inspire and uplift others. On the other hand, a mind ruled by anger often speaks harshly, acts impulsively, and pushes people away, leaving behind a legacy of conflict rather than admiration. The Buddha taught, do not let anger dominate your mind, for it tarnishes your name and brings dishonor. By practicing mindfulness and compassion, we can transform our reputation, allowing our true virtues to shine and fostering genuine respect from others. The sixth karmic enemy, as described in Buddhist teachings, is the way anger destroys wealth and prosperity. While external forces like thieves or accidents may take away material possessions, the Buddha taught that nothing robs a person of their success more thoroughly than their own anger. The scriptures state, a person consumed by anger, controlled by resentment, and unable to let go of it creates negative karma through their actions, speech, and thoughts, leading to the loss of wealth and prosperity. This is why anger is often compared to a wildfire. One moment of rage can destroy everything you've built, just as a single spark can burn down an entire forest. There's a well-known Buddhist saying, one moment of anger burns away 1,000 forests of merit. Merit, in this context, refers to the positive energy and good karma accumulated through virtuous acts like helping others, chanting, or practicing mindfulness. These deeds take significant effort to achieve, yet a single fit of anger can nullify all that hard work in an instant. Imagine someone who spends their life working diligently to create good fortune, building relationships, practicing generosity, and striving for success. If they let anger dominate them, they may lash out at loved ones, make impulsive decisions, or damage their reputation, undoing all their efforts. This is the karmic enemy at work, ensuring that prosperity slips away. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of protecting the good karma and merit we accumulate. Acts such as chanting, meditating, donating, and helping others create a foundation of wealth, not just material wealth, but spiritual richness. However, if we fail to control anger, this foundation is like a house built on sand, easily swept away. The Buddha taught, guard your merit as you would guard a flame in the wind. Do not let anger consume it, for it is hard to build but easy to destroy. By practicing patience and mindfulness, we can ensure that our prosperity, both material and spiritual, is protected from the destructive power of anger. The seventh karmic enemy, as described in Buddhist teachings, is how anger can prevent us from finding peace even at the time of death. Buddhism emphasizes the concept of near-death karma, tumgyip, the karmic energy generated by our final thoughts before passing. These final moments play a critical role in determining where we are reborn in the next life. The scriptures caution, even if a person has spent their life cultivating virtue and merit, a single moment of anger at the time of death can result in an unfavorable rebirth. This highlights the immense power of unresolved anger, which can undo an entire lifetime of spiritual progress in an instant. Imagine someone who has practiced kindness, generosity, and mindfulness throughout their life. If in their final moments they allow resentment or anger to dominate their mind, this negative energy can steer them toward lower realms of existence. The karmic enemy of anger ensures they are pulled away from realms of peace, such as heavenly realms, and toward states of suffering. For those who have not practiced mindfulness or spiritual discipline, the risks are even greater. A life dominated by anger and negative emotions creates habitual karmic patterns that make it difficult to generate positive thoughts at the time of death. Without the practice of letting go, anger takes control, leading to adverse outcomes in the cycle of rebirth. The Buddha taught, as the body fades, the mind becomes the guide. If the mind is clouded by anger or delusion, it will lead you into darkness. But if the mind is clear and calm, it will guide you to peace. This emphasizes the importance of cultivating a peaceful heart and practicing forgiveness throughout our lives, not only to live well, but also to ensure a serene transition at the end of life. By practicing mindfulness, embracing compassion, and releasing anger, we can prepare ourselves for these final moments. When our thoughts are filled with kindness and clarity, our near-death karma leads us toward favorable rebirths or even liberation. In Buddhism, it is taught that a mind consumed by anger creates not just one but 7 karmic enemies. These karmic enemies, born from unresolved anger, follow us from one life to the next, perpetuating cycles of suffering. Anger becomes the root cause of hardships, broken relationships, and even unfavorable rebirths. The Buddha emphasized that to break free from these cycles, we must work to transform the anger within ourselves. For practitioners, this means actively engaging in spiritual practices to let go of resentment and cultivate compassion. One powerful method is the practice of metta meditation, or the cultivation of loving kindness. By consciously spreading love and compassion toward others, we gradually dissolve the anger and hostility in our hearts. In addition, adopting practices such as a vegetarian diet, chanting the Buddha's name, or reciting scriptures can help nurture a compassionate heart and strengthen our resolve to overcome anger. The Buddha taught that hatred never ceases through hatred. It ceases only through love. This is an eternal truth. By letting go of anger and embracing compassion, we not only free ourselves from the weight of karmic enemies, but also create a life filled with peace, love, and harmony. As we conclude this video, let's reflect on the importance of transforming anger into compassion. Start small. Choose one moment each day to practice patience or to replace a negative thought with kindness. Over time, these small actions will lead to profound changes, helping us to live with a calm heart and a peaceful mind. Thank you for joining me on this journey of understanding. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into Buddhist teachings. Together, let's continue to cultivate wisdom and compassion.